Yom Kippur is before us. This is a special Shabbat. A Shabbat of all Shabbatot. And as in a regular year, where Yom Kippurim is a Shabbat, Shabbaton, this particular Yom Kippur is even more powerful. Yom Kippur that falls on a Shabbat, as we begin a year of Shemitah, a year of social renewal, a year of renewal in our relationship with God, that has so many more powerful aspects than in every regular year. So for this particular Yom Kippur, I would like to spend a moment reflecting on our responsibility, not so much towards ourselves, but what our responsibility is for the generations that are coming ahead of us. Perhaps the responsibility that we have for our own children. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat asks a heavy question. What is it that God is going to ask of you? Yes, when you stand in front of God in the final day of judgment, not the final day of judgment of the year that is coming in a few short days, that final day, after 120 years, when you stand in front of God, what is it that He's going to ask of us? And the Gemara answers that He's going to have 4 questions. 1, Hakavata itim la Torah. Did you set regular times in which you studied, in which you enhanced your knowledge of Torah? 2, Hanasata v'natata be'emunah. Were your commerce transactions, were your business dealings all done in purity and faith, in honesty? The third question He's going to ask you is, Asakta b'pruvu? Did you procreate? Did you make sure to produce another generation? Oh yes, this is an obligation. And finally He asks, will ask every one of us, Hatzipita liyeshua. Did you long for redemption? The fourth one is rather curious. Because I could answer, I lived my life to the fullest with what you have given me. I've done everything I could while I was alive to follow the laws, to deal honestly with everyone else, to raise my family. Why do I have to long for a day of redemption? When God wants redemption to come, will come. Perhaps the idea is that in our daily behavior, we need to ask ourselves really hard questions about what it is that we're giving to our children. Are we truly giving them inspiration and a message for the future? Often we're so busy with our day-to-day lives, with our own perspectives, that we forget all about worrying about the next generation. The same Gemara in Shabbat asks, or actually states, a horrific claim. It says as follows, Ali skei ner hizharti etchem. I've warned you on the matters of candles. Im atem mekayimim mutav. If you observe them, it will be good. V'im lav hareini notel et nishmatchem. But if not, I will take away your soul. What matters of candle? What is it that we're supposed to do that requires such careful attention? Perhaps a small story will illustrate this for you. Story is told of a young child that grew up to parents who were declared atheists. They decided that Jewish observance is something that belongs to yesteryear. It is no longer important. And they raised their child accordingly. Well, their luck. They moved on to a block in which there was a very active and successful Hebrew school. And all the kids on the block loved going to Hebrew school. Yes, there are such institutions. So the young child comes home one day and says, Mom, I really want to go with my friends to Hebrew school. And the mom responds, oh, come on. We're not into that stuff anymore. We live in the modern world. That's part of the old years, old history of our people. It's not important. We don't need it. But children know how to be nags, and the children of this child was an expert. So he nags, and the parents said, fine, go. Just don't bring any of that stuff home. Oh, we know where these parents are coming from. So the child goes, has an amazing time, learns a lot of interesting things, but takes it in perspective. Then comes Thursday afternoon, and they have a beautiful Shabbat ceremony. And the teacher lights candles. They make Kiddush. And the child is so inspired, is so beautiful. He comes home and he says, Mommy, why don't you light candles on Friday? Why don't you light candles for Shabbat? And the mother, with her regular mantra, says, it's unimportant. It's old stuff. It's not interesting to us. In the modern world, we know what's important. But the child, with his expertise, nags and nags. And eventually the mother, in a moment of impatience, says, oh, fine. Don't worry about it. On Friday, I'll light your candles. Leave me alone. Friday evening comes around. And the child reminds his mom, Mom, remember you promised to light candles for me. And the mom says, sure. Dad and I are going to go out soon. Why don't you head up for bed? I will light candles. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it before we leave. Well, the child goes up to his bed, takes an early evening, and the parents get ready to leave, and they're running around getting themselves prepared. And of course, the mom forgets all about it, and she leaves without taking care of the candles. The child, waiting eagerly to see the burning candles on his kitchen table, runs downstairs to the kitchen after everything is quiet. And how disappointed he is that his mom forgot all about him. Well, he remembered. He remembered that there are these funny-looking candles that his parents keep up in a cabinet. They only take him down once a year. He never knew why. So he gets up on a chair, climbs up on the cabinet, and pulls down from the cabinet 2 of these big, thick, round candles. Oh yes, you know what these candles are for. He takes down 2 of these thick candles, places it on the table, lights them, and sits there glaring into the glistening light, and eventually falls asleep. His parents come back a few hours later from their celebration. They walk in through the door and they see neshama candles burning on the table. What's going on? They wake up the child and say, what did you do? Why did you light these candles? And the child, in his innocence, with tearing eyes, looks at them with a smile and says, Mom, Dad, you didn't light candles for me, so I lit one for each one of you. My friends, we have a deep responsibility towards our children. Yes, we have to hope for redemption every single day. Not so much for ourselves, because we have to hope that the generation that comes after us will have the opportunity of true redemption. That the generation in front of us will have the chance to have a light that we lit for them. Yes, we have an obligation to maintain the light burning, to make sure that the candle that is deep inside our children's hearts, that flame bursts out onto the open, and that our children are infused with a love for God and a love for observing the laws that have given to us, the laws that have protected us for all generations. We're going to stand in front of God in a few days and beg for forgiveness and beg for a year to come. May we beg God to turn on that flame inside of our hearts and inside of our children's hearts, so our children shall have a guiding light for the year to come. K'tiva v'chatima tova.